President Putin in China. I felt that the most effective way to ensure that that didn't happen was to talk and tell him to cut it out. There were going to be some serious consequences if he didn't. I think there is no doubt that when any foreign government tries to impact the integrity of our elections, that we need to take action, and we will, at a time and place of our own choosing.
Well, that's President Obama promising retaliation against Russia over the alleged election hacking, after reminding Americans that he issued Putin a cut-it-out warning back in September. But if this is true, then why is he only acting now? And what does cut it out really mean? Joining me to weigh in is former CIA operative and co-founder of Diligence LLC, Mike Baker. So, Mike, you know a few things about these topics. Is Vladimir Putin hearing cut it out and cutting it out?
Well, you typically in the world of foreign policy and national security interests, you've got several options. One would, of course, be sanctions. Another is the famous cut it out warning. So he went with that one. Look, the problem here is I don't mean to be glib on this, because this is very, very serious. Yeah. And you do have to be appropriate in your response, particularly in this world that we live in today with cybersecurity issues. Because part of the problem with cyber warfare, however you want to refer to it, is the attribution, identifying the points of origin. And then you've got to figure out what is on par, what is a response, because these things can escalate, and we're in a new world now. This is new territory for all the countries out there. So he's right. The president is right in the sense that you have to be very cautious. But the problem with President Obama's situation is he's lost all leverage with Putin and the Russian government over the past few years. He doesn't have, from their perspective, doesn't have any credibility. And so they don't, when he sits down and says, you got to cut it out, there's going to be consequences, they've already watched him. They rolled into Georgia. They rolled into Ukraine. They took Crimea. They've watched what's happened in Syria as the Russians and the Iranians have built up their influence over the past several years. So they don't believe it when he says cut it out.
So, Mike, that's a great segue into, at the press conference yesterday that President Obama held, he also talked about America's standing in the world. I want to play a really quick clip and then get you to respond.
Almost every country on earth sees America as stronger and more respected today than they did 8 years ago. In other words, by so many measures, our country's stronger and more prosperous than it was when we started. It's a situation that I'm proud to leave for my successor.
Hold on, Mike. He says we're stronger over the last 8 years. It's a little different tune than what you were just saying.
Yeah, I guess the president and I disagree on this one. Look, I respect that he's trying to set the table for his legacy as he walks out the door. That's what every president does. But I don't understand which world he's living in right now, because if you travel overseas or you just sit and objectively study what's happening overseas in the various areas where we have crises and hotspots now, it's hard to back up that argument with actual facts or evidence. We've had a foreign policy over the past several years during the course of this current administration that's been inconsistent in its messaging. It has not followed through, and that creates chaos. And as we've tried to back off the world stage, as the President Obama has tried to say, look, and rightly so in the sense that, of course we want to focus on here at home. Of course we want to focus on America. But he's been backing off of world leadership. When you do that, somebody's going to try to take that top dog position. Yeah. And you create chaos. And you create opportunity for countries that do not have our best interests at heart.
Absolutely. Well, Mike Baker, former CIA operative, you know these things well. Well said. Lack of leadership creates a vacuum. So thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Pete.
Appreciate it. All right, the left making one last push, urging electors not to vote for President-elect Trump on Monday. Will it have any impact, or is it just a crybaby, futile fight? We will debate that next. Plus, what happens when you ask bickering Democrats to make a life-or-death decision? This morning, the deer named Lefty, who captured Clayton's heart, maybe a small part of mine, is dead, killed by a political battle here in New York City to save its life. You're going to have to wait and hear more about that.
And welcome back. Some quick headlines for you. A judge says disgraced Army deserter Bo Bergdahl bears some responsibility for the risky missions used to find him after he abandoned his post. However, prosecutors won't be able to use serious wounds suffered by other soldiers as evidence. The U.S. traded 5 Gitmo prisoners to get Bergdahl back in 2014. And the country saying goodbye to hero astronaut John Glenn. Vice President Joe Biden among those expected to attend a memorial service at Ohio State University today. A public viewing of his flag-draped coffin was attended by thousands yesterday. The 95-year-old died last week. Abby?
All right, thank you, Clayton. So many on the left urging electors to vote their conscience and against President-elect Trump this Monday. One petition on change.org is pleading this: we are calling on conscienceless electors to protect the Constitution from Donald Trump. His impulsivity, bullying, lying, and admitted history of sexual assault and utter lack of experience make him a danger to the public. So will this last-ditch effort have a real impact, or is this push for faithless electors just a futile fight? Joining us now to debate, a man who started that change.org petition, Daniel Brezhnev, and Arizona elector Robert Graham. Good morning to both of you. Thanks for being here.
Good morning. Good to be here.
All right. So, Daniel, we'll start with you as someone that put forward this petition to convince other electors to vote against Donald Trump. Why are you doing this?
Well, I think Donald Trump presents a unique danger, one that this country has never faced in a commander-in-chief before. He's someone that spent his entire campaign attacking the Constitution, threatening to sue journalists, proposing to register people based on religion. Now we see he has these close ties with Russia. His Secretary of State appointee won one of Russia's highest awards. He has business interests he won't divest from. He's got his kids coming to technology meetings. The man is a mess and totally unfit, and this is why the founders created the Electoral College, to prevent a man like Donald Trump from becoming commander-in-chief.
Would you do the same thing if it were reversed, if it were Hillary Clinton that had won?
Well, no, I don't think Hillary Clinton is completely unfit to be president. I think she's eminently qualified. She also won the popular vote by 3 million. So,
right,
no, I certainly would not be opposing that.
I want to get your take here, because you are an elector. You're going to be voting on Monday for Mr. Trump. How do you respond to this petition? I hear you've received thousands of letters of threats, right?
Yeah, well, it's out of hand when you have such a minority group of people, such a small group of people that are pushing so hard against a system where millions, if not hundreds of millions of people still appreciate this whole system of democracy. You know, Daniel said that his opinion is that Hillary Clinton is more qualified. Well, that's why we vote. You know, they often forget that the Electoral College, when you look at a state like Arizona, we have 11 Electoral College members. These 11 votes are going to Donald Trump because he won the popular vote in Arizona. He won the popular vote in most of the states, is why he's up to 306, not just a few of these little urban areas. So the pressure they're putting on people to, when they threaten us, when people are following us, the piles of mail, the hundreds of thousands of emails, I think it's more annoying than anything, but it's actually flying in the face. Daniel talks about the Constitution. Well, the Electoral College is part of the Constitution.
Well, just to give people a sense of some of these letters, Robert, that you've received. Here's one. Trump clearly doesn't want the job. He's totally incompetent, and he's not even doing what is required. There's another one. It's up to you to save us from Trump. We are counting on you to make it right. Daniel, I mean, you've heard from folks that have received death threats. Is this how we should be treating our democracy? The fact the election is over, that people have spoken. I mean, is this where we want to be right now? Really?
Well, a couple of things. The election is not over. The election is Monday. Threats are totally inappropriate. We have not asked anybody to contact the electors at all, other than a very small group that we're working with. Threats are inappropriate. No one should do that. You know, you keep talking about democracy. Hillary Clinton won the popular vote by 3 million votes. If we were a democracy, she would be president.
But that's not the system.
And,
Daniel, that's not the system.
Well,
if it were about the popular vote,
correct,
then you would campaign differently. I mean, that's just not the way it's set up today.
You're right. You're right. It's not the system. The system is, though, that the electors can vote for anyone they wish. So you can't have it both ways. You can't say, oh, it's the system, so too bad about the popular vote. But then when we say, well, the electors can vote for anyone we want, we say, oh, you're attacking democracy. No, this is the system the founders gave us.
Robert, quickly, have you changed your mind?
Yeah. No, heck no. I'll tell you what, Donald J. Trump has the qualifications to be president of the United States, and we're already seeing it in what he's doing with his cabinet choices. So, Daniel, sorry to say, you're going to lose again on Monday.
All right, we will see. It all comes
I'm
down
sorry,
to
an
Monday.
oil executive an oil executive for Secretary of
Guys,
State
we're
with
gonna
no
have to
diplomatic
leave it here
experience?
this morning. But thank you, Daniel and Robert, for
Okay.
being with us.
Yeah,
We
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Abby.
Hey, thank
See
you.
what happens
We'll see
Monday.
you. Thanks, Abby.
All right, coming up, a shocking opinion, even by the New York Times standards. One writer suggests President-elect Trump would let another 9/11 attack happen to improve his approval ratings. Plus, how would you like a free truck for Christmas? How you can win one at Bass Pro Shops. That beautiful truck is outside on our plaza. That's next.
It's the most wonderful time.
Well, it is your shot of the morning, and we asked you to send in your ugly Christmas sweater pictures, and they've been pouring in. Debbie sending us this picture of her daughter, Christy, from Texas, who's decorated with her cat toys.
I love that. That's great.
Particularly ugly.
All right, pull up this one. This is a double-sided sweater from Megan, who won the competition at her company's holiday party. That is creative.
Is that a full
Wow.
That's like on her shirt. Oh, that might be Lefty on the front.
Lefty,
There it is.
Lefty's dead.
And sorry, you're right.
this.
And Cindy sent us this picture of the sweater that she decorated for her husband Tim. He won his company's ugly sweater
Is he
competition.
wearing a
as well.
cone? What is that on his head?
It's some sort of. It's got lights on it.
Christmas
too.
tree hat?
Guys, I'm so impressed with these sweaters.
You know what I'm impressed
Well
with?
done.
So Rick, earlier this morning, I mean, we're outside now, and it was snowing earlier.
Yeah.
I think it's now.
No, what
it's
a
sleet.
party.
Are you guys,
I
how you
know,
guys
we love
doing?
everyone.
Say hi to- we gotta, we're gonna say hi to some
we're not
folks
going to
real
Rick
quick.
yet? Okay.
Not yet. We're gonna go to Rick, but where are y'all from?
Houston, Texas.
Houston, Texas. And what brings you to New York?
Vacation.
Vacation. You gonna be here through Christmas?
Yes.
If you're from Houston, you're used to this kind of weather, right?
No.
I have azaleas blooming at home.
So you'll be happy when you get back home too.
It'll be nice to get to warm weather.
So thanks for hanging out with us. You watch Fox and Friends?
We do every day.
I love it. Well, we love having you, and we love having everybody out here too. We got North Carolina, we got New Zealand, we got everybody.
And these folks were kind of there. Said, "You're so cold. You're so cold. Can I borrow your hat? Sure. Can I borrow your hat? Is that?
Look at that. What a guy.
Oh, what is this? Is this real? Is this a Russian hat?
Could be.
They've invaded.
Vladimir Putin is taking over the show.
My
as
little
well.
babushka?
Yes.
I'm going to toss it over to my little babushka. Rick Reichmuth. Hey, Rick.
Thanks, Papa. You guys are upset because you were here before those
Exactly.
people. They're like, hey, we got here before them. Give us some time. Where are you from?
Greenville, North Carolina.
All right. You don't look like you've been standing out here for very long.
Not long at all.
Not long at all. Hey, the snow has turned to sleet. It's going to turn to rain soon. Take a look at the weather map. Show you what's going on this morning. There's our storm. A cold front stretching back across the Four Corners through the Central Plains, but the biggest area of precipitation is out across parts of the east, and that's bringing snow and it's bringing some freezing rain, especially in around the D.C. area. Be very careful this morning because we're going to be watching for very, very slick roads all across that area. Here's a look at what's going on. We have got freezing rain in Philadelphia, 30 degrees, and it is falling as rain and then freezing on contact. That's about to happen in New York. Will probably remain mostly snow across the Boston area. And then we have all these cold temperatures that we're dealing with. This is almost done. The cold weather. It's almost done.
What's the difference between sleet and
Sleet
cold rain?
and freezing rain.
Right.
So sleet it's warmer up above, and it falls down through a cold air layer and freezes and turns into little ice pellets.
There you go.
Freezing rain it's warm through a lot, but cold right at the surface.
This
and freezing
kind of
on
weather-
Great for
contact.
snowball weather, though.
This is really good snowball.
And you know what?
Snowball weather.
If there's one store you could think of that this is like their perfect weather, it's Bass Pro Shops, because there's just 8 shopping days left until Christmas, and Bass Pro Shops back this morning with some great last-minute gift ideas. With our friends here.
Our friends Luke Snyder is back with
Luke,
the latest.
you're
Luke,
kind of
welcome.
weather.
I know, right? We're kind of liking the snow, but right now we're all about Christmas. We got Santa at all store-wide, until 5 o'clock in the afternoon, all the way up till Christmas Eve before he starts getting busy.
Free pictures with Santa,
Free
right?
pictures, we pride ourselves in having one of the best Santa displays, and we love having him come
And then you
by.
can sneak at all the Christmas shopping while the kids
That's
are
right.
doing
We got
Santa.
these last-minute gifts. You got these fleece camo throws. This is perfect for snuggling up on the couch. You can get these for under $10. For the ladies, you got the little Natural Reflections cardigan. This is great for Christmas time. Just throw it on with something. Turkey fryer, it's our best price right now going on. It's under $40.
Wow.
You can do an 18-pound bird in there. So
That you do in your bathroom, right?
you can do that right in your bathroom.
No. Outside. That was a joke.
No, all you need is a propane. Yeah, you got the Bass Pro tackle bag right here. It's insulated. You can put any of your refreshments in there. And then obviously, if you just can't decide our gift card is unbeatable. It never expires. You can use it just about anywhere.
And you don't lose money on it.
That's right. It never expires. You don't lose money.
So Luke, we're standing by this big Toyota Tacoma. Tell us about this.
This is what we're really excited about. We teamed up with our great friends at Toyota. You got the Toyota Tacoma TRD Sport with the outdoor adventure package from Ascend. You know, this is like a $36,000 package.
Wow.
We're giving it away completely free. We're drawing a name on Christmas Eve. You just got to go in the store, sign up, register. We're giving this away out the door.
So you go into a store to sign up.
That's right.
If I went into the store every day and put my name there every day, could I do that?
You can just keep putting her in there.
What if he goes into the store 10 times a day?
Multiple times a day.
Hey,
read the fine print.
Get after it. We love to have you. Buy something when you're in there.
That's the most important thing. Thank you so much.
You bet.
All right, check out Bass Pro Shops. Abby, inside to our nice, cozy, warm studio for some headlines.
Pete, you've been holding that snowball all morning.
I know, I went for a target. It was going to be you.
All right, we do have some headlines to get to this morning, starting with this. The U.S. demanding China return an underwater drone the country stole last week. A Chinese warship taking the drone in the South Sea as U.S. crews were trying to retrieve it just miles off the Philippine coast. And moments ago, President-elect Donald Trump tweeting this: China steals United States Navy research drone in international waters, rips it out of water, and takes it to China in an unprecedented act. Well, that drone doesn't hold any classified data, but is used to map the floor of the ocean. And bickering Democrats in New York City fighting over the future of a beloved orphan deer named Lefty unfortunately was unable to save its life. This one-antlered buck swam into the city in search of a mate, but later died from extreme stress after New York's two top Democrats fought over what they should exactly do about it. Mayor Bill de Blasio wanted to euthanize the deer, while Governor Andrew Cuomo wanted to relocate it. You may recall 2 years ago, Staten Island Chuck died days after being dropped by Mayor de Blasio on Groundhog Day. That's sad. Well, it looks like President-elect Donald Trump might have been right about the failing New York Times.
I put down failing at New York Times. The newspaper's going to hell.
This one, the newspaper CEO is now sending a memo to employees saying they are renting out 8 floors of their Manhattan headquarters to make some extra cash. The CEO claims the move is meant to increase newsroom collaboration. Interesting. A New York Times opinion writer Paul Krugman making a shocking suggestion. He says President-elect Trump would allow a 9/11 attack to happen to improve his approval ratings. Krugman tweeting this: there was rightfully cloud of illegitimacy over Bush dispelled wrongly by 9/11 creates some interesting incentives for Trump. Krugman suggesting the attacks would help unite the country behind Mr. Trump's presidency, just like it did for President George W. Bush. Those are some of your headlines this morning.
All right.
And also there's this: Democrats blaming Vladimir Putin and the media for Hillary Clinton's loss. But are they missing the important lessons of this election by playing the blame game? Democratic Ohio Congressman Tim Ryan, the man who tried to unseat Nancy Pelosi, is here next to explain why.
And RNC Communications Director Sean Spicer joins us live with his reaction to the hacking scandal. That's at the top of the hour.
We are back with some quick headlines. The bounty on the head of ISIS's top dog just went up. The State Department now offering $25 million for information leading to the death or capture of Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi's, well, to his arrest or death. That's up from $10 million. And a warning to parents: the toys you put under the Christmas tree could put your family at risk. The Senate warning smart toys could make you a target for hackers. It says toys that connect to Wi-Fi put your personal information at risk, and they suggest changing any default passwords like password to protect yourself.
Or don't use 123 as your password. Note to self.
I made that mistake many times. All right, well, President Obama playing the blame game in his final press conference, using Russia and even the press as a scapegoat for Hillary Clinton's loss.
Based on uniform intelligence assessments, the Russians were responsible for hacking the DNC. I don't think she was treated fairly during the election. I think the coverage of her and the issues was troubling.
But by blaming everyone but themselves, are the Democrats missing the important lessons of the election?
Let's ask the Democratic congressman who tried to unseat Nancy Pelosi, Tim Ryan of Ohio. Congressman, thanks for being here this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Good morning.
So based on that press conference and other things you've heard from Hillary Clinton, do you feel like introspection is happening inside your party?
Yeah, it's happening. We're having it. We had it with our race that we had against Nancy Pelosi. We had it. I think a lot of people are having it at the DNC, at the DCCC, which is our congressional arm. So I think we're trying to learn. We're trying our best.
What are
you
the
learning?
emerging lessons? Yeah.
Well, the emerging lesson is we didn't talk enough about working class people, not working class white people, working class people, white, black, brown, gay, straight, people who want to make more. We focus a little bit more on the minimum wage, which I'm for an increase, not enough on middle class wages. And at the end of the day, that had a big effect.
The president, speaking yesterday at that press conference, talked about the liberal elites and the latte drinking, liberals. And I think he was spot on. I think, it was a reflection that, they need to get into these communities. Liberals need to go out in these communities and talk to those voters in those areas where they used to be liberal strongholds. West Virginia. I mean, what happened there over the past? And that was Bill Clinton territory.
We win when we talk about economics. I think the party wins who talks more about economics. But if we both talk about economics, both Republicans and Democrats, I feel like Democrats have the best chance at winning. And again, it doesn't mean you have to give up your progressive values or change a position on a progressive issue. It just means the emphasis needs to be on what's on people's minds. And what's on people's minds is their own economic status, their own wages, their own pension, their own security, health care, whatnot. When we talk about those issues, we win in places like West Virginia. We got beat by 28% in rural communities. That's unacceptable.
When you listen to Mr. Trump, he'll say you also need the right messenger to talk about the issues that the American people care about.
That surprises me that Donald Trump would
I know,
say
right?
that.
But you look at the Democratic bench and who's sort of next up to lead the party to success. And when asked people in the party who their top choices were, the average age is 75. That's a little bit high.
Yeah, I mean, names like Joe Biden. I think we've got a couple
Bernie
of them. Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders,
Well,
Elizabeth Warren.
That's a bit misleading because those are the three most popular people. Biden was vice president. Bernie Sanders ran for president. And Elizabeth Warren has been a famous name before she even got into politics. So it's a little bit skewed.
So who are the incoming people?
Well, I think you look at people like Cory Booker, who's a great young leader. I think we have a huge stable of people in the House of Representatives. Joe Crowley, who's our caucus chair, is a great young leader that's emerging. And I think there'll be others over the next year or two.
So you would say there is a bench. But I would say, I want to ask, you said the economic piece, when you're talking economics, you're winning. But there's also a cultural aspect to this. You hear Barack Obama saying elite, coastal, politically correct. And then you watch a guy like Donald Trump say, I'm going to say Merry Christmas. And why don't we say Man of the Year? And your average American goes, yeah, why are we bending to all these political elites that tell me to be politically correct? How do you fix that? Because there is a sense that you're totally out of touch with people in middle America.
Well, I say Merry Christmas. So,
but your party doesn't.
But Merry Christmas. If you're Jewish, I'm not going to tell you Merry Christmas, right? And if I don't know, I don't know what you are, I'm going to say Happy Holidays. I may say Merry Christmas too to people. That to me is not a major issue. I say Merry Christmas. A lot of Democrats say Merry Christmas. I think that's one issue that just tries to divide everybody up. But the reality of it is,
or radical Islamic terrorism, or other aspects where political correctness goes awry, and now you're saying extremists as opposed to calling the enemy what it is. Isn't that a disconnect for people?
It could be on some instances, but I think most of all, regardless of what we're talking about on those issues, if you're talking about bread and butter issues, people don't really care about whether you're gay or you're straight or they want to know how they're going to feed their family. I mean, if you're looking at people in Youngstown, Ohio, they want to know, how am I going to feed my family? How am I going to have a secure pension? Can I afford to send my kid to college?
So do you disagree then with President Obama's press conference where he said, look, after 8 years, we're more prosperous than we were. We're better off, we're safer, we're more prosperous. And yet they lost the election. I mean, I just don't understand it. If we were more prosperous, we were better off than we were 8 years ago. We're healed now. People have jobs. Do you believe that? Do you disagree with the president?
In the aggregate, we're doing better off. If you have money in the stock market and it's almost at 20,000, you're doing better off.
It's ironic the Democrats make the Wall Street argument, though, the stock market argument. If you're trying to make a middle class argument, that's a different argument.
Well, that was my next caveat.
Sure.
Is that most people don't have money in the stock market. Right. Most people in my congressional district don't have money in the stock market. They can't even save. They're living paycheck to paycheck. 75% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. If they lose one paycheck, their life completely comes unraveled. So in that sense, we haven't done better. And we haven't just done better in the last 8 years. We haven't done that much better in the last 30 years. And these are the big structural problems that we need to change. And the problems are still coming. Automation, globalization. driverless truck drivers.
Yep.
You know, retail food
Congressman,
folks.
We could talk about this all morning. We appreciate you joining us this morning. Unfortunately, we're up against a hard break here, but we want to thank you. Have a Merry Christmas.
Going to Billy Joel tonight. Have fun tonight with your wife.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Congressman.
And happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Had to get it in.
Donald Trump just naming a new member to his administration. We'll get the inside scoop from Transition Communications Advisor Sean Spicer. That's straight ahead.
And Michelle Obama has an announcement to make. Give up. Hope is in America is dead. Jesse Waters joins us live to react to that comment next hour.
Welcome back. It's been one of the most highly anticipated movies of the year.
Lean back a little there.
Has this kind of power. What chance do we have?
Good morning. It is Saturday, December 17th. I'm Abby Huntsman. Well, first he brought back Merry Christmas. This morning, the president-elect takes another shot at political correctness.
Remember, some of you that are a little bit older, made in the USA. Remember that beautiful?
We're going to take you to Orlando, Florida, where the latest stop on the Thank You Tour just wrapped up.
And Hillary Clinton says, don't blame me. It's James Comey and Vladimir Putin's personal beef, their fault. That's what cost me the election.
And leading up to the election, plenty of celebrities pledged to pack their bags if Donald Trump won. Remember this?
My confession for this election is if any Republican gets nominated, I'm going to move to Canada with my entire family. Is that bad?
But it looks like a lot of those celebrities got cold feet now that they know it's 20 below zero up there. We want to find out how many people moved to Canada. We have the answer. Fox and Friends Hour 4 starts right now. You know, this is the longest show in television, and this is the 4th hour.
Woo! We love it. That's right. This is like the bonus hour.
This is the bonus hour.
Hour 9.
You could argue this is the best hour or the 6 a.m. hour. Actually, vote for your favorite hour this morning, will you?
Friends at FoxNews.com. What's your favorite hour?
This is certainly when we're the most awake.
Or not.
At 9 a.m. Or maybe we're tired by now.
Or totally hyped up on caffeine.
We have so much caffeine in us right now. That's why we're going to have a great interview with Sean Spicer from the Trump transition team. He's going to be on our show in mere moments because there's a new announcement from the Trump team this morning, and we're going to get to the bottom of that.
Could be him. I know he's up for communications, the press secretary. So
can you announce your own?
Guess.
I guess you could. Yeah, but you would know. You would know. We'll find out. All right. Well, on the other news as well about Russia, President Obama vowing retaliation against Russia for election hacking.
But he's blasting the media for obsessing over the email scandal as a result.
Garrett Kenny is live for us in Washington, D.C. with more on the president's final news conference of the year before off to Hawaii now for 17 days. Good morning, Garrett.
Hey, good morning, Abby, Pete, and Clayton. Usually these end-of-the-year press conferences are where the president will take a victory lap of sorts and list off everything his administration has accomplished over the year. This year, though, in President Obama's final end-of-the-year press conference, it was almost entirely about Russia, and particularly the Kremlin's interference in our election. The president said the cyber hacking campaign was orchestrated at the highest levels of the Russian government. And without specifically pointing the finger at President Vladimir Putin, he added that almost nothing happens in Russia without Putin's approval.
Our goal continues to be to send a clear message to Russia or others not to do this to us because we can do stuff to you. But it is also important for us to do that in a thoughtful, methodical way. Some of it we do publicly. Some of it we will do in a way that they know, but not everybody will.
President Obama defended his administration's response to the cyber hacking and said it began back in September when he met with Russian President Vladimir Putin on the sidelines of the G20 summit and warned him there would be serious consequences if Russia didn't, quote, cut it out. Mr. Obama also had some harsh words for the media's coverage of the hacks during the election and for focusing so much on the leaked emails, which he described as an obsession.
I'm finding it a little curious that everybody's suddenly acting surprised that this looked like it was disadvantaging Hillary Clinton, because you guys wrote about it every day. Every single leak. About every little juicy tidbit of political gossip. This was an obsession that dominated the news coverage.
And President Obama was also asked on his way out if this was his last press conference before he leaves office next month, and he said he'll have to think about it. Until then, though, as you mentioned, the president and his first family will be in Hawaii over the next 2 weeks for their Christmas vacation, and looking outside, who wouldn't want to be there now?
I know. We'll have a lot of time to think about it over there then. 17 days.
Mele Kalikimaka.
Thank you, Garrett.
It's yeah. Thanks, Garrett. We want to bring in Sean Spicer this morning. We've been talking about him all morning. There he is. Is that a Christmas tie, by the way? Is that?
It is.
Is it like an ugly sweater tie?
An ugly Christmas tie?
An ugly sweater tie. You said it. I didn't. Merry Christmas.
It's a good one, though. It's a good one.
Well, welcome to the show. We want to get, obviously, some news this morning, but we want to first talk about what the president said yesterday at this news conference and talking about hacking, and basically said, 3 months ago, I went to Vladimir Putin and said, cut it out, and it's a big problem, interference in the U.S. presidential election, and we should look at it. What's your response?
Well, I agree. I mean, no foreign entity should ever be interfering with our elections or undermining the integrity of them. But it's a very interesting story how it's evolved. Prior to the election, it was the Department of Homeland Security briefing us in the campaigns and saying, we have high confidence in our election systems, the way that we vote, i.e. various systems throughout the country, paper ballots, machines, et cetera, are such that no one could interfere with an election, and we need everyone to stand firm. And then Donald Trump comes out and has a resounding win, and suddenly the tune changes real quick because the presumed coronation of Hillary Clinton didn't go as planned. So, look, I think we can all condemn any entity from interfering in an election, but there is zero evidence that it ever had any effect on the outcome. Donald Trump won resoundingly with 306 electoral votes, 2,300 counties throughout this country, including multiple that President Obama carried handily. So I'm a little concerned at how the left is now trying to focus on delegitimizing the election. They lost because they didn't have an effective message that like Donald Trump. And I think that they should, instead of focusing on that, are trying to deflect and talk about this whole issue.
Yeah, there's a lot of efforts and attempts to discredit, no doubt.
Yeah, I want to get your thoughts on this one because Mr. Trump is up tweeting early this morning, slamming China's seizure of a U.S. drone. Here's what he tweeted. He said, China steals United States Navy research drone in international waters, rips it out of water, takes it to China in unprecedented act. And in response to that, Chris Murphy is tweeting this morning as well. And he says, this is madness, a 7:30 a.m. Saturday escalation of diplomatic ties with China via Twitter with misspelling. I want your thoughts on that because obviously this is how Mr. Trump likes to communicate via tweet. When you're talking about something as sensitive, though, as our relationship to China, is that how things should be handled? Because as you know, just one tweet could set off serious alarm bells in that relationship.
Well, it's a fact. I mean, it's a fact. I think he tweeted out what happened, something that was reported in the media yesterday. I'm somewhat shocked that people are surprised that he's tweeting exactly what happened. China came along, took an asset of the United States government and brought it to China. I think Mr. Trump is rightly expressing the concerns and frustrations of our government right now, or just as a citizen, frankly. I think we should all be outraged. And I don't think it's anything different than was reported in the media all day yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, there's a sense over the years that slights like this, overt or covert, have just been ignored. Or our enemies in Iran are also taking people hostage. Now they're taking drones, other instances where we've been slighted. What does a tweet like this say about how President-elect Trump will handle these types of flashpoints? Because I think it's easy to dismiss it and say, oh, it's Twitter, it's terrible. No, I mean, there's thought behind these things. How would he react differently than President Obama has?
Well, you saw it with the Carrier instance as well. I mean, he's not going to sit back and just let stuff happen either domestically or internationally. He's going to pick up the phone. He's going to get things done. You saw how he saved those jobs out in Indiana for Carrier. He's the kind of guy that's going to end business as usual and get things done. He's a man of action, and I think we've seen it already through the transition, and we're going to see it really forcefully on January 20th going forward.
I want to get your take on something Hillary Clinton said on Thursday night. She was meeting with a group of donors to thank them for their support during her campaign. And it seems like inside, we had Ed Klein on earlier, and he seemed to suggest that sort of inside that bubble, that there's no way that they are taking responsibility for losing this election. And she said to those people in the room the other night, she said, look, James Comey releasing that letter definitely changed some votes in those swing states, and that is probably why we lost this election. What do you make of that?
I mean, I think they're probably at stage 8 in their 12-step program of grief. Look, this all happened because Hillary had, I mean, if she hadn't had a server, if she hadn't written what she wrote, I think there's a denial of responsibility on her part for doing some of the things that caused this. Comey wouldn't have been investigating her for the secret server if she hadn't evaded government regulations in the first place, if she hadn't set up the server. There is a degree of personal responsibility that Hillary Clinton and her team have to take. But you know, look, and if this is how they want to focus on it, you know, so be it. But I just think that if you want to look at it objectively, at some point they need to take responsibility for their actions.
All right, we do have a Fox News alert to get to about Mr. Trump nominating Congressman Mick Mulvaney, director of the Office of Management and Budget. Sean, first we thought we were going to have you on for you to announce that you are going to become the next press secretary. I don't know if that's news yet or how that's going to play out, but your thoughts real quickly on this latest news.
Well, Mick Mulvaney is a fiscal hawk. He's been fighting against government waste, efficiencies. This is somebody who is keeping in line with what you've seen with the rest of the Trump picks for his cabinet. He's going to get things done. He's going to tackle the $20 trillion budget deficit that we have right now and start to chip away at it, get rid of government efficiencies, find outdated projects and plans and government waste. But he is going to be a real champion of the American taxpayer in that office.
What about press secretary? Rumors about you as press secretary. If that were true, would you as press secretary be able to make your own announcement?
Right here on Fox and Friends.
Right here, wearing a Christmas tie.
Well, there's been no additional staff announcements, and I'm sure that we will let Fox and Friends know when we have additional announcements.
Handled very well, and well done on Mick Mulvaney.
I think we got to focus on the jobs that we know of. Congratulations to Abby for
thanks, Sean.
getting the official slot on the couch. That was a job. That was a job announcement that we were all rooting for.
That's so sweet of you, Sean. Thank you.
And we all internally as well.
And we wish you all the luck too, and whatever happens.
Nice tie too. Have a great Christmas, Sean.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
See you soon. All right, we do have some other headlines to get to this morning, starting with this sad story. This was breaking overnight. An officer shot during a deadly traffic stop. The scene unfolding in a Walmart parking lot in Dallas, Oregon. 3 officers pulled over the suspect on suspicion of a DUI. Police say the suspect then turned his gun on an officer, shooting him in the leg. Officers returning fire, killing the suspect. The injured officer, luckily, is expected to be okay. And then there's this story. The son of a terrorist, Osama bin Laden, is denied entry into Egypt. Omar bin Laden and his wife arriving at Cairo International Airport this morning from Qatar. But after checking his Saudi passport, security officials found his name on a list of those banned from entering the country. Both were deported to Turkey. The couple was also denied entry back in 2008. And the Obamas landing in Hawaii just a short time ago for their last vacation as the first family. President Obama holding Malia's hand as they walk down the steps of Air Force One with Sasha and Mrs. Obama close behind them. The first family visits Hawaii for Christmas vacation every year, vacationing on the island where the president grew up. They will be there for a full 17 days. And I love this story. It's a Christmas wreath for heroes who paid the ultimate price thanks to generous viewers like you, happening right now. Wreaths across America placing Christmas wreaths on every headstone in Arlington National Cemetery. That is more than 400,000 graves. The whole thing made possible after the group asked for donations on our show, and you all responded.
With a grateful heart, we are very excited to announce that we have received enough donations for every veteran's grave at Arlington National Cemetery to receive a wreath this year.
That is amazing. Besides Arlington, 1.2 million wreaths will be put on veterans' graves nationwide.
Our viewers are very, very cool. Thank you so much.
Thanks for doing that.
All right, coming up here on the show, President-elect Trump predicting a bright future for the country.
We're going to win so much. You're going to go to Paul Ryan. You're going to go, Mr. Speaker, please, please. We can't stand winning this much.
I love it.
Too much winning.
Too much winning. How is his message resonating with the voters? The brand new dials when we come back.
Lee Carter's in the house. Plus, this might be the greatest Secret Santa ever. The heartwarming surprise just in time for Christmas. It is the best video.